All right,
You
this is a part 2 on guns. Because we got some things to talk about it over there. Yeah, so we're talking about gun violence, but also is there anything can be done? Is a part of the culture. We talked about just the psychology, the illness that someone could have, or perception, right? Because it depends. Some people might think, you know what, that's Darwinism. People are going to do what they do, take people out. It's all natural. Oh, well. Kind of like the movie we reviewed, like Everything, Everywhere, Nothing Really Matters kind of thing. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, I supply the world with tons of weapons. I don't care. It's up to people what they want to do with them. I'm making money. Or I'm a punk. I can't fight, but I know I can shoot. So, oh well, I'm taking them out.
Except, sure, that angle you're going, sure. But we know what happens when we decide to change a culture. It actually changes people's habits. An example, the anti-smoking movement in America is incredibly successful. 20% of our population are smokers, the lowest in almost the world, I think. One of the lowest in the world. How did this happen? Through decades of retraining.
Hold up.
Change.
You saying something positive about America, Sam?
You better stop.
Uh-oh.
You better stop. But what happened? It was decades of retraining our mindset around cigarettes. And it takes a while. It takes a good generation, but it works. It works. So then it doesn't matter how much Marlboro makes and Camel makes and all these companies. Do your business. Go ahead, because I really truly believe that anybody who wants to do anything to themselves, they should be allowed to do. I think all drugs should be legal. That's how I feel about it. But see what happens when you decide to change the mindset and change the culture. People's behaviors do change. What I'm trying to say when we're talking about gun violence in the ways whether it's mass shootings like this or urban shootings like the other one too, all of it has to do with mindset and culture. If you want the culture to change, we could change it. We don't want it to change. If we want teen pregnancy to change, we could change it. We don't want it to change. We could do it. We can shift a culture, but we have to understand it takes at least 20 years. It's a concerted effort on all fronts. Let people have their businesses, make your weapons, have them. But if we change the culture to such a way, we could create a population where people don't see that as something that they want to do or is necessary, or they need to even harm people in the way.
So what you're saying is a long road, but you're still hopefully getting at the same place where people eventually won't want them and won't have as many of them. Wait. But are you still getting back to a point where hopefully evolution, we won't want them or won't want that much of them? That's what you're saying?
Our behavior will be different around them. Because if we look at the type of people that have done these mass shootings, like in schools, I don't know why it's still always schools. Schools,
that's
or like
what a lot of people are, and they don't have weapons in school. Hello.
I mean,
think about it. You're not going to go where everybody has weapons. You're not going to go to the gun range and say, I'm going to knock everybody out.
Or Dylan Wolf in the church. Like, when you look at them, there is some things that are very, very similar about these people that did that. Same with, let's say, just because I'm in New York City, I'll talk about the gun violence since the pandemic just in New York City. There is something very similar about the people who've done the gun violence in New York City. If we understand that, we do a damn Venn diagram. It's really not that hard if you really want to do it. Figure out, what do they have in common? How do we make these things not so common? We shift the culture, and these people exist less and less.
But the thing is, the beautiful part about it, what you just said, is that do what you want to do, and hopefully get to the same place. You're actually on the same page of people that are anti-guns, or at least want to get fewer guns out there, because yeah. So why don't we just cut all the fat and just give it all the guns?
I'm just talking about do the long-term hard work of changing culture and changing people's mindsets, because I've been in countries where there's not, these issues don't exist, and it feels different. For any of you who've gone to certain countries like that, it feels that you just feel safer. It's a different feeling. People they don't react in these ways. They don't
but
have
also a lot of those countries are it's illegal.
What happened?
If you make it illegal,
I mean,
It just because a lot of countries it's illegal.
But Michael, still in those countries, people are not rubbing feces in people's faces. People are not doing the same type of violent things that we do in general, even if it's not about guns. My whole point is, in this country, what we're seeing, it's guns make it easier, but there's a mental break here. There's something wrong with us. We are a deranged society. Americans have a warped culture around what they just want to do as individuals, and you see it when you travel. There's a reason why I brought that up in the beginning. We just do what we want to do. We need to change that culture. We have that culture of just being this way.
Hold on.
What
financial Hold on, Sam. Phoenix, because you were like, and then Corey.
You did this to me, Michael.
Good. Go, Phoenix.
First, I want to say, Sam, I am totally with you on change. I think, be the change you want to see in this world. We do need a cultural shift. I would love to see it. Michael, you're saying make guns illegal. I don't know if you're saying that just to be, invoke a reaction, but heroin's illegal, crack's illegal, murder's illegal, robbery is illegal. Does that stop it? No. America statistically has the highest rates of all mental illnesses out of all of the countries. Yeah. So, and that is a fact. I've written papers on it. And additionally, not to get religious, that's not where I'm going with this, but we have went away from teaching Christian or Catholic values in schools. Am I saying we should go back to that? Not necessarily, but I do think teaching values, period, needs to come back. Like being compassionate, showing unity, being considerate of others, and having that like camaraderie amongst our peers. Because I think that individualism, like me, every man for themselves, all about money mentality has been very damaging for young minds, especially when you add social media to the mix and everyone's comparing themselves. Teen rates of depression and suicide are I believe at an all-time high as well. So I think the issue is not just the weapons themselves, it's community.
And only because you pointed me out, because I want Corey to go next, but I agree with Sam when it comes to the drug thing. Let people do whatever they want to do. Right. But I think drugs is a little different. Someone wants to smoke heroin versus someone wants to go buy a gun. They're not going to, well, hopefully not shoot themselves, but I think that's a little different. You know what I mean?
Is it though?
But even within that, it's like, you could do all the drugs you want to do. And I think that should be legal. Just if you do drugs, you're not doing my taxes. If you do drugs, you're not going to drive the bus. You know what I mean? You're not going to drive the school bus. And you have the freedom to make that decision. Just know whatever decisions you make, there's certain things you're not going to be able to do. And I think that is cool. But again, Corey, but it's not equal. It's not the same.
That I hear Sam's point, but I feel like there's two convoluted messages in between. One, you're talking about changing the culture of America. I feel like that's a pipe dream in and of itself, because we are so individualistic. Do you really think we are going to change the ideals of the independency and the freedoms that are afforded to us being in this country to one of something different? I don't see that Americans change when they need to. They change when they want to. So as much as you point out the positives of incorporating values and community aspect, that's been something I've been saying for a while. But Americans just, we don't subscribe to that idea because that takes away from their individuality.
Everything is branding and packaging and marketing. So all you need to do is take the same thing and spin it in the way that Americans can hear it. That's how advertising works. Yeah, it is one part of pipe dream. Absolutely, I agree. But it's also two parts, because we've seen it happen when it comes to cigarettes. We've also seen it happen when it comes to deciding which country is the enemy, right? There's ways where we can decide to tell the people what they're supposed to think, and it actually works. You just have to market it for Americans. How do we market this? We are each other's keeper, but in a way that doesn't sound socialist, but sounds more individualistic. We can spin it. People spin everything all the time. And we just have to understand every industry, the government has to do it, the schools have to do it, all these people have to do it, and it's going to take at least 20 years. It can happen.
But this is what I want to say with the cigarette thing. Yes, it makes sense because there are plenty of other countries who smoke for decades and not develop the ailments that Americans have. Why? Because we have pointed out that cigarette companies are basically using poison to make our health decline, and it's all been fact-based. So we have gone away from poor business practices that were affecting Americans negatively, right? That was one of the parts. That was one of the biggest truth aspects. You don't always get what was it? What was the catchy tune? You don't always die from tobacco. Sometimes you just lose a lung, and all this other ailments that they were pointing out that cigarette companies were basically poisoning Americans. That's how that started, right? That was one of the biggest pushes, like you're saying, with advertising. Right?
The cigarette companies didn't change. They still do their same BS product that kills people. But what did change is the schools decided to do anti-smoking stuff. The government decided to put some things in place with, like, okay, we can't market with cartoons to children. It was not the companies that changed. It was all these other bigger entities that really affect human beings that decided we're going to have to put a stop to this. Marlboro never did it.
No, Marlboro never did it.
Until the government said you have to stop, and this is how we're going to do it. So it's still a BS product, you know?
We went back to being natural. We went back to taking tobacco that farmers grew, and people were making their own cigarettes. People still do it today. They get the papers, they wrap it.
No, that didn't change. They're still making BS practice.
They're still making BS.
Cigarettes still have all the BS that they had before and even more, but people smoke it less because they started to become informed.
Right, and that's the point that I was making. We were advertising a different way of doing this because of the negative fact basis that we were using to push said marketing, right? That's the point I was trying to make. So when it comes to guns, what fact-based opinion are you going to try to use to say, hey, you have to be of sound mental capacity to own a weapon, or else all these negative things are going to keep happening? I don't see a way we can advertise or try to put it up in a nice little
If
package.
I'm crazy, you can't tell me a commercial to tell me I'm not crazy. Because I'm going to tell you that I'm not crazy. So it doesn't work.
If we were able to go to the moon, we could figure out how to do it if we wanted to. We're innovative. We are interesting. We are imaginative, and we're creative. That's something I really will give Americans. We have it all. Yes. If we wanted to,
wow,
we could figure it out.
She said positive about America. What?
Right. That's the one thing when it comes to mental health. And I'll give you an example. So I'm a medic in the Army, right? And we have studied a lot with the Mayo Clinic and how the brain actually works. So when you have someone who's in a, I don't know, we'll just call it a mental break for argument's sake, right? If you say something that makes perfect, reasonable sense to any person, reasonable, articulate person, right? If I say, hey, I feel you offended me, I need to have a conversation with you about it because what you said hurt me, right? Now, if you're in that mental state and you said, hey, you said something that offended me, and the person hears whatever you said and their output is, well, if you have a problem with it, then I can just kill you. But to that person, it makes perfect rational sense to have that kind of response. How do you combat that? How do you fix a nation in that sort of mentality where it makes sense to you, but it also makes sense to them?
You change the fodder. It's literally would take decades. It can happen. I still agree with you. Pipe dream, because I don't think it's gonna. No one's going to really put the work involved, but it definitely can happen because it happens in nations. Singapore used to be a hellhole. Okay, a leader came in, I think in the late '60s, with a 25-year plan. First of all, that's part of it. He understood it's going to take decades. And now look at Singapore. It's one of the richest places in the world. Super expensive to just live there. Everything's spick and span clean. It was a disgusting.
But that wasn't done nicely. It wasn't, come on, guys, let's...
Exactly. It wasn't
Kumbaya.
Who said anything about nice? Listen, when you want to spin something, you spin it. And it can be not nice and feel not nice. People think masks are not nice. People think the vaccine mandates are not nice, right? Some people think they're fine, right? So no matter what changes happen within a nation, people are going to feel like their feet are...
Would you be open to it? Would you be open to a government that says, I agree, they watch this, Sam is correct, Michael is an idiot. Let's listen to Sam and we're going to get down to business. We got we got a 20-year plan. Now I know you're going to say something, Phoenix Sparks. We got a 20-year plan. All right, get rid of all them damn guns. Give me. We're going to stop this immediately. I don't care if you don't like it. I care about your damn freedom.
I'm not even saying all that.
But I'm just saying, like, there's no way without people feeling...
We've already worked in a place where we're taking steps. The whole... With the Iraq War, all our little civil liberties getting taken, it was little by little. Guess what? Everyone overall is like kind of okay. People are like, this sucks. And people like don't even know what's going on. If you know how to market it, and you know how to not make the people uprise, you don't do it all the way, right away, tomorrow. You don't do that. You do little things over time. You change the way the kids are thinking. You change how the school is, and then the kids become adults, and the kids want to change how the rules are. That's how you do it in a way that feels less attacking. And listen, programming is everything. And I know I sound like a dictator right now, but this is how it works. But this is literally how people function. We are sheep. You want sheep to do something, you just have to figure out how does 95% of the population, how will we get them to do this? We can do it this way. Some people will be upset. Some people won't care. And some people will be like, this is wonderful. This will always happen.
So what you're saying is they don't want it. They really don't want it.
People don't know what they want. I work in service. People don't know what they want. So literally the way I train people is I'm like, you need to tell them what they want and make them think that they're deciding. Literally, people don't know what they want.
The illusion of choice. Some people have to be told what to do.
Yes! The illusion of choice is everything. We don't want to decide things. We just want to feel that we are doing it. And if you're in charge, you understand that and you give it to them in a way that is digestible.
This makes no sense because we are a nation that still doesn't want to talk about slavery or talk about racism, but you're saying we can talk about changing the culture when it comes to...
And you know why we don't want to talk about slavery? And I'll tell you why. I will tell you right now. The reason why we don't want to talk about slavery or racism is because we've decided to polarize it. Instead of just talking about it the way it actually is, we've decided to make it a political topic. We've decided to be extreme about it on both ends. And so now it's a topic that no one wants to talk about. Everything is marketing. If you change the way we approach the topic, people can talk about it. We decided to do it this way because we decided we want the population to go against each other.
But when we talk about guns and you're saying you force feed and tell people what to do, you're taking away one thing to do it right. Marketing, branding, and advertising. You're not forcing anything. You do little things over time. Slowly over the years, you start changing how people see people, how people operate. You do this over time. You can't take anything away. Don't ever think it's about guns. You make it about something else. Before you know it, people are already behaving differently. For the dumbest things America has done, I think you're not giving America the due of being a dumb country. I just don't see that happening. I don't see America subscribing on, I don't know what they're doing. Everything's a conspiracy theory. So when you try to put these little breadcrumbs, like leading them the trail,
we've lived it. All of us have lived in an era where we've been giving breadcrumbs. Literally, how our politics have become so crazy literally happened around a lot of us when we were born during Reagan. That's the beginning of when they started splitting, how extreme the parties started to be, little by little. It's been 40 years. It's been 40 years.
Dayveonne, what are you trying to say?
Oh, I was pretty much going to agree with hello.
I'm
sorry, I was thrown off.
A lot that just happened in the last 30 seconds.
Yes. Wow. But I'm going to say everybody in this whole panel is on point. Like,
no, we want to hear your views. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. What do you got to say?
Come on. What are you going to say?
The panel turned so fast.
Don't do that to us. Don't you belittle us.
Yeah.
But yet Samantha saying we can do this on a national scale. We can't even do it with 5 people.
Yes, we can.
But but to be honest, and again, I kind of mentioned it before. The elephant in the room, it has nothing to do with street violence, nothing to do with being robbed, nothing to do with protecting your family. Not really, kind of, sort of, but yes, in some kind of way. But the elephant in the room is people don't trust the government. And the reason why they hold on to their guns so tightly is because there's this fear that the manure will hit the fan and I have a right to protect myself. It's really not against street thugs.
No, but where did it start? Where did that idea start?
I mean, it goes back, but
the
it's
revolution.
been to
No, way back.
the revolution, but
when we came
also
over from Britain.
to
When we,
Sam's,
true.
the revolution, but also to Sam's point, to back up what she's saying historically, is that there's this script of being all American that has been nurtured, I would say, maybe after war, like around World War I, World War II, definitely after that apple pie, this and that, blah blah blah. Actually, a whole bunch of things that actually aren't American at all, or not innate from this country. But that's another conversation historically. But there's this whole thing, and part of it is to hold on to the script of the revolution. Well, so that's that fear. So the only thing I believe that we could really add and we can do today is, instead of having this elephant in the room of being afraid of the government, be mature, wake up, realize you are the government. We the people, you are the government. It's not a bunch of people wearing suits in Washington. It's not. Grow up. You went to school, you're the government. You hate the government, you hate yourself. Well, what do you mean? Well, you didn't vote, did you? You didn't get involved. You didn't hold politicians to their what they were supposed to do. So the only one you can be mad at is yourself. So if you want to recreate the culture, and let's say you have an individual that's like, oh, I'm so pro guns. Well, then you need to be active, figure out a solution. Don't let the people that hate guns figure out the solution, because the only solution they'll ever come up with is take away all the guns. And that's logical.
Right.
So then you get your butt out there, be involved, and you do something. You think it's just people's mentality? Well, then you solve their mentality. You think it's just crazy people? It's not the guns, it's the people. Well, then you heal the people. Then you heal the people then.
How do you heal the people where things don't go their way? They come up with
get rid of the guns. They get rid of the guns.
No,
see, that's the thing.
But the
you know
thing
what I mean?
There's a way. Someone just said that we have the most mental health issues in the country. There's reasons why we do. We don't need to talk about it right now because it's a myriad of reasons.
Right.
One part, capitalism. But anyway,
Right.
the way it's run in America, at least.
Right.
So there's a way to have less mental health issues. We literally have to shift the paradigm of our existence here. We do that, there's less mental health issues.
And by the way, Sam, the whole world has caught up or idolized the sickness that is called Western capitalism. So it's all over the world.
It's all over the world, but
it's a sickness that is all over the world. It is not limited. And if they might have caught that sickness from America, that is very possible. No, I just think it's interesting, and for those that are out there, if you're really pro guns, then figure out a solution. If you're really anti, then I think it's up to you to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do too.
So
because the other side is never. It will never, like to Corey's point, it will never happen because the ideals are so different. This side will have to work over here, and this side will have to work over there. Otherwise, we're just going to watch every guy get blown away. And because we're tiptoeing on this recession they've been holding back for the last 15 years, it's going to get wilder. I'm not surprised at the school thing. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't want to put it out there as far as like a positive thing, but I think we're going to see a lot more of this because people are suffering, and they need an outlet. And unfortunately, if these are the tools I have as an outlet, and I'm already twisted, I'm going to use these tools because it's easy and it's effective. And if I'm a punk and I can't fight, because think about it, who fights in the street these days?
Right. No, you're
Nobody.
so right.
Nobody.
I mean, so it's like, it is what it is. Or we just give everybody drugs. Maybe Sam is brilliant. Let's get everybody high. I don't know.
We put
I don't know.
Molly in the
I
water.
don't
This will never air. Like,
I don't know.
This was a Black Mirror-ish episode. Literally, just keep giving people low levels of just being okay. That everything's just okay. I don't advocate for that. I don't advocate for that.
I was about to
My
say.
point is, there are solutions if we just want to be creative, but the thing is we have to work together. And this country, there's one thing that we're good at besides marketing to the world that we're amazing. The other thing we're good at is tribalism and separating people in groups to not work together. This is what keeps us from coming up with really good solutions that we can do on our own and changing our government.
I would say one thing, the most effective thing humans are actually capable of is genocide. So we're really good at killing ourselves. So if you have these measures,
Damn, Corey.
if you I'm just saying, if you actually look at history, we're really good at genocide, right? So if you take away guns, we will find a different means of violence. If you increase guns, we will still find a different way of violence. So I think, how do you combat that? I still don't have an answer.
And yet still, there's still places with a lot less violence and places with a lot more violence. All we have to do is measure out why, and we can figure out how to mimic what we want to do here if we have the political will and the human courage to do so.
The places with less violence are pretty much dictatorships, and people are told what to do, what to
I'm sorry, Belgium
and
is not a dictatorship. I'm sorry, the Netherlands is not a dictatorship. Neither is Sweden. Neither is Norway.
But they don't have that many guns. Hello.
They actually do. They do.
They have them, but not as many.
No, but
as
wait, and
America.
not only that, they don't have the mental health issues we have because they are okay. They're not worried about feeding their children. They're not worried about losing their job, going to the doctor. They don't have those worries. Their mental health is more intact. We can do some similar things here because these are some of the ways we can decrease our mental health issues.
I'm tired of this socialism talk. Talking. I caught you.
No one said the word. No one said the word socialism.
No one.
Alrighty, everybody, give everybody your. We gave everybody a good food for thought, and
I'm gonna
do what
say
you
this
will,
much,
audience. Do what you will.
I'm just gonna give people the benefit of the doubt. This is the only time y'all heard me talk. My social media on Instagram.
You were so scared to jump in.
No, I wasn't. I was just like, everybody was going in, and I'm like, hey, I kind of agree with everybody. So it was like,
what's your social media?
The panel's about to turn again.
Dayveonne Bussey on Facebook and Instagram, Shamal Williams on Twitch and Twitter. So
Sam Eats Plants on Instagram.
Phoenix.
Then we have Phoenix Sparks _official on Instagram and Twitch.
And Corey.
You can find me, Corey Davis. I am GT3 on all of the things.
And I'm Michael7 Michael on IG. You're watching GEEKCASTER's SOULCASTER. And we're talking about topics, and this one happens to be guns. And hopefully there's a lot of food for thought and comments. And you know what? Worst case scenario, let's keep the conversation going, and hopefully someone or ones, communities will come up with some solutions, and we'll make the world a better place, and maybe we'll eat some non-dairy ice cream together. That'd be great.
okay, I got that.
Yeah. All right. That's cool. That works.
Yep.
Non-dairy.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah. Vegan ice cream for
And then hopefully we could do another show on how like eating things certain things make you more peaceful and more loving.
Can I slip in one petty comment after?
Say it again?
Can I slip in one last petty comment?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I love what Samantha said, and she listed all these countries and nations that are not diverse. I just want to say
It's true. I did.
And nope, there's so much I can say to that, but that's another show.
Another topic.